Hey guys, what's up? We're rocking and rolling with kind of a new series and really excited to present the entirety and kind of, at least a portion of the Royal Society of Players community members. And we're going to have them here and we're going to discuss kind of various topics within the NFT space, specifically what's going on with Royal Society of Player, maybe mentioning House of First as well. But let's introduce the different panelists here. Wally, do you want to start? Give us a little bit of a background about how you got into NFTs and maybe more specifically how you found RSOP.
Sure, yeah. Wally, I got in a little over a year ago. I had heard about Zed Run and also a bit about the Topps NFT, Topps baseball NFTs. So I started doing that and going into different Discords, mainly Pony Plug actually. Someone had mentioned about RSOP. So it was one of still my first other true mints versus I think Alien Boy at the time. Which was interesting. So it was the second mint I ever got to do. It was the first one where I minted the Joker. And that really just got me straight into the community, which was awesome. So I got super lucky. And I know that. And then just diving in here with this crew has been amazing. And, never thought I'd get this involved. So it's been truly awesome.
So, okay, hold on a second. You're talking about this Joker thing and everybody started chuckling. Do you want to give us a little bit of a backstory about what that is?
Yeah, so I minted of the 10,000 NFTs. There's 16 of them that are one-of-one Jokers. So those are the cream of the crop. Then followed by the Eternals, which are 88, and then stamps and a handful of others in there. So I remember I actually got an ace that was stamped, and I thought that was super exciting. And then somebody else was like, "Yo, go check your wallet, refresh that. Like, there's something better there." I was like, "There's no way there's something better there." And sure as shit, I go and look, and I was like, "This thing is awesome." I was like, who else has these?" And then I go to the Discord, and they're like, "Oh, go to this room over here," and got to start meeting met Karate Kid and a few others that minted, and so it was super lucky. Could never anything I'd spent before that was 1 ETH on anything, so that was awesome to get, and super excited to just build from there.
Yo, love it. All right, Towering, let's hear a little bit about your NFT journey and then how you found RSOP.
It hurts a little bit so far. I got in at the end of 2020, and I had huge plans of playing Polka Pets with my youngest, and a lot of good things going on with Bondley, and it was going, and then we're in the recovery stage still, so it was something that little painful, and then just looking for the vibe, looking for a community that connects a lot of other communities, and RSOP just seemed to be it. One of the huge things that I was looking for, especially I traded crypto a little bit for the previous couple years, nothing crazy, but paying attention to YouTube, and there's so many scammers and there's so many things going on and who to trust. And when you find the vibe, or you find, like, here's a project that every single influencer is not talking about, what's not being said, sometimes to me that kind of piques my interest a little bit. And that kind of led me to RSOP, an amazing community, obviously.
Yo, I love it. Now, next up, we got Orion here. And listen, he's got the hat, he's got the suit. I don't know what's more expensive, this hoodie or the suit right there, but the Royal Society of Player. My guy, what's up? How are we doing?
Hey, man, doing good. Yeah, I guess I entered crypto space back in 2019, got a little Bitcoin, and you kind of go down that rabbit hole. What is next? What's technology have? Then you discover NFTs, and to me, it was a no-brainer. So I would like to play with my crypto, have some kind of face to it. So I minted one of the coolest things ever. It was a crypto kitty, which they had nothing like this at the time. I hate to brag that the first thing I ever minted is a crypto kitty. I bought 2 of them. Now, it might be worse. I don't know. I'm going to go touch it. It's sitting in a wallet. Who knows? But then I started realizing beyond just art, what is some kind of functionality? Because you only spend ETH once. Well, that's the old saying, right? You only spend ETH once, I believe. So spending the ETH, I was thinking, all right, what else? Then I found the sandbox. Now, to me, sandbox was not just an image. You can build on it. I believe that's where people are going to build websites and everything else from. And I was buying so much land, I was going to hold it for 20 years. That was the plan. Many projects came and gone. I was driving home. My wife's pregnant for my second son. I go over the high rise in New Orleans, and I hear a YouTube about RSOP. And it's the first time that I really heard someone say, that your NFTs will equal in real life experiences somewhere and somehow. Now, people were saying that before. I was waiting for that day, and the more I heard about it and dived in and saw the artist Obin Jones doing the cards, for one, I love cards. I love magic tricks as a kid, different illusions. And so just the art alone and knowing it's a real life artist, bringing it into the space and just not garbage art. It was just about the card alone without the community. I thought it was a win. And so I got home that night, minting already took place. I didn't get to mint it, but I went on, bought one card. So I'm just going to hold on to this king. And then I stayed up to probably about 4 a.m, putting together hands, got about 12. And then within 2 weeks, have 21 cards. And then have a wish list about another 15. But the benefit is TSBG. I live in New Orleans. We've gone through a lot of hurricanes. I lost everything to Hurricane Katrina 5 years ago. Lost my house again to a once-in-a-lifetime tornado. We have another hurricane coming, Ida. I go to Florida, and I just say, hey, anybody wants to trade a card? TSBG says, hey, let's switch cards. It's the first person I ever called over Discord. It was the weirdest thing. I never called a grown person in my life, never called no young person in my life over the internet. But this, to me, became the real-life experiences of a community I didn't realize could exist. I never believed in online friendships and all. So all these guys, we jump on just about every night and talk for a little while, some kind of way. And that's what I like about the community. The community really helps build and teach people as we go.
No, I love it. And I think that's another thing that a lot of people don't really realize is for, some people, they grow up with these different technologies or they've had access to it. And now, at whatever stage of life, I've had people all the time that message me and say, hey, like I've never gotten a Discord. Thanks for mentioning it back in the day. And, having that connection and the little extra incentives for the in real life perks, we kind of forget about it, right? Is Royal Society of Player was there kind of at the beginning of this entire craze, right there with Bored Apes, Gutter Cats, and everything else, right. But it's not as well recognized. And, maybe after this, people will start. But Theranik, listen, you got the jack of all trades, I think, up there on the wall over there. Give us your story of RSOP and how you got into NFTs.
Yeah, so I'm an audio professional, and I'm a poker player as a recreational. So I kind of like to play poker on the side, and so I spent a fair amount of time and energy learning that game. And I have an 8-year-old kid who's deep into Minecraft. And as I'm looking at what he's doing, I'm sitting there going, you know what? I have to figure out the NFT thing, because whether I like it or not, the child's going to be dealing with NFTs, right? So, and as a poker player, kind of on poker Twitter, Melissa Burr is a high stakes pro that's deep into the NFT space. And so I was following her on Twitter, and she was shilling some other project, and I went to it and I tried to pick it up. And I ended up losing a gas war as my very first NFT transaction. And I didn't actually get anything. And I was upset about that. And so then I just said, fuck it, and went to OpenSea and was just scrolling around kind of angrily, and found this badass looking, playing card. And I was, and I could swing it. I could afford it. Right. And I don't know, probably months after mint or whatever. And it was the 8 of spades. And I picked it up, and I had no idea. I had done zero research. I just straight up just lucked into RSOP, and you pick up the card, and I'm just learning, and I'm sitting there going, oh shit, this is a country club. This is how you get into this whole scene, right? And all of a sudden I'm in the Discord and the whole thing, and now I've got at least I've got a flush. I've got 5 cards, and I've got a couple other NFTs that evolve over time and other stuff like that. And so as I've been learning the space, that's been kind of the vibe. And it's fun because I get to I spend a fair amount of time playing online. And so sometimes I will stream my my online sessions just into the RSOP Discord, and we'll all jump on and we'll talk poker and do all of that. And yeah, it's a blast. Because it's a small enough community, I can go with no delay, and I can show my whole cards and do the whole thing. And I trust that I'm not getting not putting myself in a compromised situation for real money there. But yeah, it ends up being a blast, and I learn all kinds of stuff from the crew here. It's great.
Yeah, that's amazing. And TSBG, listen, you've been talking to me forever about RSOP. So what's your journey with all of this?
Oh man, it's funny. I didn't realize that was you, Towering, that was part of we'll just say the fiasco that was. I won't mention that project, but I had minted my first NFT back in, I think it was December of 2020. And, I got involved in the community because you can with NFTs. I wasn't able to do that back in the crypto space, back in 2013, 2016, 2017. And so when the NFT scene came around and Discord was being used, I was all about it because obviously COVID was going on, and I wanted to be able to interact with other human beings, and I'm personable. I like to talk with people and get to know people, and so I got caught up in the hype phase of the NFTs of late 2020 and then going into 2021, and I have always enjoyed card games in general. So when I saw RSOP, I mean, it was a no-brainer for me. I minted as many as I possibly could. And I went on to the next mint, whatever that was down the road over the course of the next couple weeks. But RSOP was still sticking in my mind. And I was like, whoa, you know what? I want to put the time and energy into that group. And so, I started doing so. I started engaging with people in the community. And, as Orion said, he was one of the first people that we actually spoke with one another. And then shortly thereafter that, myself and Towering, we visited, and, worked through the uncomfortableness of, what people kind of might perceive to be like, can you trust these people on the other side of the screen, or this name? And I was willing to, do whatever it took to build that trust, right? I wanted to show that, yes, there are people out there that you can trust and stuff. And so, I've been very transparent about, myself in the space in general. And I'm very proactive within the RSOP community. And, it was great to go to New York to meet, I've met some of these people here. I met Joker 12, that was an interesting story in and of itself. We could talk about it at some point, but this is a community that I resonate with. There's a lot of people in my age range, and, it just cuts through a lot of the riffraff and the immaturity that I've seen in other Discords and stuff. And so I've stuck around, and, I want to be a part of it. So that's kind of my story in a nutshell.
Schiller, you're muted there.
You're muted, Schiller.
You're muted.
Oh, I'm muted. Good morning. Okay, then. I mean, so what I was going to say is regarding kind of like the trust aspect within NFTs, right? We went from the stage within Top Shot, depending on when you got in there, where like all the stuff that was like before trading was through Discords, and there was a lot of scams, and then a lot of people were fearful coming into the NFT space. But really, it's that same kind of chemistry. If you're on a sports team, if you're on a video game and you're playing with some friends type deal, I think there's a the guard has come down a little bit on certain aspects within the online thing, but I think that, the opportunity to build up a whole bunch of trust with a whole bunch of random people that don't end up being too random shortly thereafter, I think it's kind of cool. But Joker, you ended up beating TSBG. We got to get to that in a second, but give us the lowdown about your story of how you got into NFTs and then specifically RSOP.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Morning as well. I guess it was probably literally a year ago now. I was on my buddy, who's in fact Joker 4. I was on his couch after work one day, and he was just on his laptop, etc. And I think I forget what he says to me. He says, "Oh, I'm about to maybe do something." And I said, "What do you mean?" And he twists his laptop around. And he shows me, this JPEG, right, of kind of a 24-bit character. I'm like, "What's that?" And he's like, "Oh, it's a CryptoPunk." And he's like, "Oh, it's like $50,000." And I kind of just jumped up and went, "You're kidding me, right?" And literally, I was in this phase of I wasn't really big into crypto, because I hadn't really seen kind of use out of it. I mean, it was interesting, but I was waiting to see what was the use. And then he was just looking. And I think he ended up bidding on it. Kind of kept talking about it. In the end, he didn't get it. I think it was like he shaved it by like $2,000, right? Which I think he still regrets today for not paying it back then. But obviously, when somebody sits in your living room and you pop around and they just about to spend $50,000 on a JPEG, you sort of think, really, there must be more to this, or why is he doing this? I mean, he's a super smart guy. And I guess it was just suddenly, then I think there was the Beeple article. Then a few weeks later, I think somebody bought, I think 16 million for a whole bunch of punks. And it was like, okay, this doesn't make too much sense to me, but there must be something going on. And it's kind of like it started to hit my head. Like I had missed what NFTs were, didn't really make much sense. And then a few weeks later, he kind of regretted it, but he mentioned, and what is it, coming up to May, he said, oh, there's the children of of the CryptoPunks. I was like, what do you mean? He says, oh, well, you can combine it, go in and produce a generated, it's called a Meebit. And these were like 1 ETH at the time. I was like, you know what, I'll do one. And he's like, yeah, they're going to be the metaverse for your kids. Think about your kids. So I ended up buying one. I think I bought ETH at 4,000 something right at the previous peak. And I paid one for it. And then that was it. And I guess I didn't really touch anything else until the summer, but it just kind of sat there. But I started to read, started to understand. And then the thing I realized was I knew absolutely nothing, right? And I sat there, and I'll tell this story very, very briefly. I must have been 6, 7 years old. And my dad comes home one day and he brings a computer. And he knew how to do 3 things on it. And he said to me, you know what, I don't know how to use this, but you're going to need to. And he kind of left me with this computer, left me some magazines, and I learned how to write basic programs, coded a couple of games, all off of magazines, etc. Now, I never ended up being a coder, but I guess my entire life I've had a massive appreciation for the power of computing. And it has enabled me in every aspect, particularly my career. It's been relevant. And I kind of feel that, and still today, my dad can barely use his phone, right? But he had just decided that I needed to know this stuff. And I guess he had prepared me, right? So you know, when I first bought my journey, my son's 6. In fact, he's 7 today. That's why he's bouncing around. It's his birthday. But I kind of sat there thinking, what am I going to do? I mean, I was looking around. There was all these, you know, metaverse, NFTs, crypto, and I realized I knew nothing. I had done no research. I knew nothing about it. I was just, for somebody who thought they had been reasonably advanced with understanding technology, you know, smart contracts, how it even worked, all this stuff had passed me by. And I thought, this is crazy. Even if I don't know enough, I've got to prepare my son. I mean, literally, it's a big motivation. And my thinking was, how do I learn? You know, how do I do this quick? Because there's some books on it, but when it came to NFTs, how they worked, what they did, there's just not much out there. So I think it was going into the summer. Again, I have to thank Joe Kaffour for this a lot. He messaged me one day and he starts talking about RSOP. He'd figured it out. I was actually traveling. I missed the mint. And he was going on about it, saying it's pretty cool. I guess, sort of ignored it. A week later, just for fun, I was like, you know what? He kept going on about I bought a card. Finally, he comes to me one day and says, look, I'm going to get an Eternal and I might get a Joker. And I'm like, I don't know what that means. And he's like, do you want to learn about this space? Do you want to meet great people? Do you want to understand everything that's going on? Because this place that I've just joined, there's all these people that know this stuff. Like there's people who are crypto experts. There's people who've been in NFTs for 2-3 years. There's people who've written smart contracts, and they're really cool people. And like I'm speaking to these people out of nowhere, and they know stuff. If you want an accelerated place and you want a place to really accelerate and start this journey, you need to join RSOP. And I guess 2-3 weeks later, I'm like transferring every spare cash in my account. And then I get into the Eternal room. I'm in the Eternal room for 2-3 days. And it's like suddenly all these people, and I know nothing. I'm asking stupid questions every day and nobody is making fun. Literally everybody's answering it, helping me, pinging me on the side. You know, some guy sent me a video on how to mint off a smart contract. Then I did it one night and he was there and he's like, this is how you do it. And then it was like this question after question. People just answered everything. And I mean, I'm the real dummy in the room. Not one person really just said, wow, you just know nothing. Everybody just took the time to help me on that journey. And there was links. I mean, I was chatting with Orion when he got me into Sandbox, was sharing that stuff and his ideas. And then, you know, all the different people that I came across in a different way were just helping me out. And this is people I didn't know, never met. It was all through Discord, et cetera, et cetera. And then I guess finally, I guess still my most expensive NFT, got my Joker, which at the time, I think, as somebody reminds me, I could have bought, I think, 15 apes when I bought the Joker. It's still the one card, the one NFT purchase. I have no regrets. Literally, have no regrets. Right? And I did the maths. You know, it was a fraction of my gold membership, And in 8 years of owning a golf membership, I don't think I've met this many people, connected this way, learned so much. And this is, if everything about getting myself prepared and my son prepared, it's delivered. It's delivered. And if the value of my cards is being a part of this community and learning what I wanted, then it's money well spent. Absolutely money well spent. So, and after that, I guess I bought a few more cards, as people know, just because it's the whole NFT space for me. It's a 20-year journey, but I still feel you need a safe place. You mentioned at the beginning, right? You mentioned that there's a lot of scams, et cetera, but this was a place where, people are doing their research. They're leaning on you. I'm not in this space all the time. I've got a full time, but the information you get is so curated, right? Or people do say they don't know that this is a real person-to-person information place. It's not like the stock market where there's 1,000 banks writing reports, listing rules, etc. This is a place where information is all from people. And as just Towering said, I mean, it's not influencers touting about it, but it's just pure value. For me, it's just pure value of the community side. There's a great team behind it, gives me confidence, gives me safety. They're going to be here for 20 years. They're going to build it. But I still value this more from the community and the daily interactions that exist. So, yeah, I guess that's my journey. I did go crazy once I got RSOP. I bought a load of stuff that definitely went to zero, will never bounce back. I bought some stuff that went crazy. I made money. I still don't know why, right? Didn't even research it. But I guess now I've settled around a few projects, but I still consider RSOP to be the home base. So I guess that's my journey.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I mean, I think that, that breakdown specifically makes me feel super excited to do this whole series because we get to hear from the people, their journey, and how these different projects ended up impacting them overall. And listen, we're saving the best for last here, JVN, and I think that he might be getting pulled away there in person. But JVN, if you're good to go, my guy, how are things? Let us know a little bit about your story.
Yeah, things are great. Aside from being a concert pianist, I am a professional Uno player. So that kind of brought me into the NFT space. But joking aside, I think what really brought me to this space was the decentralization. I was looking at blockchain back in 2010, 2012, and trying to figure out how to get into crypto and how to get into fintech because my day job deals with stocks. I'm a stockbroker, right? So I'm getting feedback. Okay, yeah. So anyways, so carrying the story along is I got into the NFT space because of Joker 12 was kind enough to actually walk me in, and I got my first card. I think I showed you guys earlier in the chat was an 8 of clubs, and that kind of started my journey into the NFT space. So I take that digital first step into something that like the smart contracts. I mean, that I read a book by Melanie Swan. I think it was 2015 that really piqued my interest about smart currency, smart contracts, and then smart assets, right? So that's kind of the lead up to it. And I was like really interested, but never been involved in the NFT space. Fast forward to August last year. So they had just minted. And Joker 12 just said he didn't know much about the NFT space, but he knew that there was something there. He pulled me in. So he was kind enough to walk me through the first couple of minutes because of the following project on House of First. Because, I didn't know much about it, like, logging in MetaMask and all these different things. You need somebody to guide you through it. So each one teach one kind of way. And now I'm trying to do that here in my market as well. So it's really been a first call, which is fun as well, was to TSBG. So Ryan and I kind of laugh about that on a daily basis. It was, we're holding Twitter spaces and kind of getting to know each other and fill each other out and seeing trustworthy, like, TSBG was saying, but we've grown to be really close, I think, and learn a lot from the Jokers and Wally McWallface all the time. I mean, he's just been so kind. Never met him. This is the first time I've actually seen him, but just so helpful and just so everybody in this room brings so much charisma and just excitement to this channel. And I'm really proud to be a part of this group. Tara and I we connect on a lot of philosophy art recently, and 3neck and I, we do TSBG, and I jump into the channel with 3neck as he plays poker, and we start to learn how to play poker because Uno's not going to pay the bills. But that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah. Okay. Great reference on that one. So I'm curious. Listen, by show of hands here, who thinks they have the most cards in this chat room right now for RSOP? Who thinks they have the most?
That's a no-brainer.
Okay, so we're looking potentially at Joker here. Everybody's going down. He's throwing
There
How
we
many
go.
do we
That's
got, fam? How many do we got?
How many?
Yeah.
In my main wallet, I think it's 274.
In my main
Are
wallet.
you kidding?
No, he's
My
not.
main wallet.
Yo, listen. Okay, so when he said that he had the Joker thing, and that's like one of the first things he bought, I was like, you know what? He probably bought it when it was early. You know, those things ended up going up. But holy sweet mother of pearl. Okay, so why are you so bullish on everything that RSOP did? Is it something that you bought, early, and you're just like, I'm going ham, or is there something specifically there?
In terms of, I guess, I have to say, so I think one of the hardest things is, how do you value NFTs, right? I think 90% of the people value it based on the price it trades at, which is why you see them move the way they do, right? The more they go up, the more people buy them, right? It's that kind of philosophy. And when I first got into these things, and maybe it's because of the real world side, I had to start doing back of the hand calculations, right? And honestly, this is literally what I did. I think I posted it about 3 weeks in, and it's what enabled me to buy the Joker the first time round at that level. I'll then explain why I bought all the cards, so many afterwards. But for me, I looked at what's the value proposition here, right? So we're looking at, number one, a new industry, right? So if you were at the .com industry years and years ago, and you were buying in, companies were launching on a blank piece of paper valued at 50, 60, 70, 80 million dollars, right? So new technology, new startups, people are prepared to pay that for what they see the future is going to be. And that's when it was already, there was stuff going on well before it became mainstream. So I often do these basic calculations, which is, NFTs, let's just say they're your membership token, but maybe it's your piece of the pie of the company. So there's 10,000 of them. So I was sitting there thinking, okay, and when the floor was at around, 0.2, maybe when I was looking, you think 10,000 of those, you take the price of ETH, and I was sitting there going, okay, so RSOP in equivalent terms is worth around $4 to $5 million. And I'm like, that's absolutely nothing. I've had 3 of my buddies, start fintech companies with a piece of paper valued at $10 million on an idea, and I stuck 50 grand in a couple of them, right? And I was like, okay, so this is a metaverse company. You've got a Landmark Ventures, real well-known team. They're in it for the long run. I can buy a piece of this now at this kind of valuation level, and I can still sell it. Everybody complains about liquidity, but you buy a startup off somebody, you can't sell that for 5 years, often, until there's liquidity, right? But I can sell it at some point. And I was like, okay, this is not that much. So I kind of looked at the base value of that's how I look at a lot of the projects. I thought, this, if it was just a corporate venture, your starting price would be 1 to 2 ETH for each card. So I had a base value in my head that's a reasonable amount that you'd be willing to pay. Then, as this whole club thing, this global private network, I looked at 3 clubs in Hong Kong. So I've got these memberships. And honestly, I share this because to me, it's really, really simple. So take Soho House, right? Now, fine, it's a physical club. You get to use it. But it's about networking. The greatest value of Soho House from the people I know is about the networking, what you learn, the business contacts you make, and what you deliver from that. I'm working on 2 different NFT projects, consulting a few others, things that I think will dramatically change the direction of my life. It's through this network, 100%. It's through this network. So if I look at Soho House in Hong Kong, I'm paying 25 grand maybe for a debenture up front, and I'm paying, what is it? Maybe 1,000, as much as, maybe it's $500 a month minimum in fees. So that's 1 RSOP card a month I've got to pay to stay in that club, and up front I've got to pay some stuff. Right. So I was doing that. I'm thinking, right. So if I was to pay that every year, Soho House equivalent, and I get a return on my cards, then each RSOP card minimum is 4 ETH. So I moved my valuation level up to 4 ETH, and that's still my base value, right? Just on the value proposition of a good metaverse global club. And I know there's lots out there, but for me, I've already felt the value of the community. I've met the people, so I know it's the answer, right? So there, my valuation there sits at 4. Joker was even easier. It's a 1/5 of my golf membership. It's as simple as that. And I can sell it again. So I spent 5x that on a golf membership. It's great. Obviously, I'm stuck here. I don't use it. I meet some great people. I've done no business, made no contacts in this context, but I've achieved all of that for here. So, for me, how I got to the point was I set these valuation limits. And after I bought the Joker, I thought, okay, you know what? Every other card is cheap. I kind of set myself a an amount of money. And I just went and just picked off stuff, you know, and there's so many different angles to this, right? I've got some of these real hands where the card's amazingly randomly connected. And there was a phase when the more you stare at the cards, they are very, very cool. I know PFPs are the thing, but these are so cool. Some people started dropping these kind of pure, cool, beautiful, you know, sovereign gold cards, and you know, and I love the Lumi. Obviously, got the Joker, etc. You know, and I guess they got addictive. And to be honest, the only thing that stopped me keep going was realizing that you need more people in the community, right? So what stopped me, and even when there's really cheap ones, it's like you need more people in here, right? And if I'm sitting up here, keep buying more, keep proving them up. Because every single card is another person that can promote this community. Every single card is another person that I could get to meet and learn something from. So I got caught in this a bit of a position, which is like, okay, I'm holding 3% of the outstanding. I like the position. I don't need to sell it, luckily enough. But I'm thinking I need to find a way, you know, where we want more people in, right? Where I want more of the right people. And the more we hold as individuals, you're holding that back. So, yeah, so for me, it was just, honestly, I did some, I think, basic maths and research, and I got to the point, these are not expensive at all, right? I guess that's why I'm still super bullish. That's why there's no rush to sell them. I will more likely sell them to new people that I think will add value coming in than I will just for the money of it. You know, happily, the right people sell them at the price I paid for them, even if it's a lot higher at that point, just to get people in the club. So I guess that's sort of how I got to my 300 cards.
So,
okay. Sorry,
so Joker, like, this is something that TSBG and JVN and Orion have heard me talk about a lot, because I'm one of those guys that only has 5, right? And I only had 1 for a long time. And, you know, I took, you know, several months of just like, you know, building up a little bit here and there, you know, just kind of moving ETH here and there, but I don't have the kind of resources you do. And so I really did want to, you know, get a 5-card hand. And I'm sitting there going, man, I just wish that the handful of people that own all this stuff, like, would slow down just a little bit. Don't push the floor so much, because I need to get on board a little bit more, and other people need to come into the thing. And if the floor is at 3, you know, it's going to be a different vibe than if the floor is at 0.2, you know, and it's still a growing thing. And it's also the unique thing about RSOP, and especially in the NFT space right now, is that, especially if you look back like a month or so ago, is that there are so many rugs, and there's so many things that, you know, this thing is the new hotness, and this thing is new hotness, and like, oh, go on this and jump on this and jump on this. But I think in about 6 months, people that are going to be looking for projects that have not rugged, people that are going to be looking for projects that still have that have at least have a track record of hey, we continue to exist. And RSOP's got a head start, at least in that space as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Agree completely. I think people are going to look for places that have been around for a while, and the community members have been there. A lot of people still here from Mint Day, or getting in and digging in, and then really what goes beyond the card is the people. I would say I'm half docs to people. People discover a little bit more about me. We discover a little about other people. I would never go into any other project and do a video with anyone. I wouldn't share my age, my race, what I've done any other place. Only in this house I've done that, and it's a trust that's taken place. And like I said, people help each other out. Joker 12 sent me a card one time. Just, hey, I want to send this to you. Enjoy it. That don't happen. People have fronted ETH for people to mint things. Someone fronted ETH for me to go mint the everyone's out of House of First. Just someone I don't even know. We don't know each other, only through Discord. And my only guarantee is, hey, I'll pay you back. I'll even give you interest if you want. They said, no, just give back the ETH. And that's what took place. So I can't go to a neighbor and do that, or a friend in real life, but some kind of way. The amazing thing is that there's real relationships that are built through the space. It's almost like your first day of high school or your first day of college, where you get a fresh start. Can you really, because you can go into space and be someone else, but can you be you at the age you are now, and can people see it and feel it? And that's what I love about all these guys, that you really can tell through a screen or through a text on who they are, and you get to know each other. So beyond the card now, it really is about the relationship. Even if the project doesn't exist, I believe these relationships will exist. But this thing's going to skyrocket. It's going to take, I'm 100% behind what Joker 12 is saying. With only 10,000 cards and so many rug pulls, we all, the more cards you own, the memberships you hold for people to come in. And this is going to be a very unique space going forward. We will be around for 15, 20 years easily.
So there's almost like an undertone that I would say where, you know, you're talking about how it's kind of inexpensive right now and that, you know, hey, we're not necessarily like a PFP and you know, it's the underdog tone that I sense kind of from the group, but like overall, you know, there is still so much happening going on with this. We're seeing that they're building out, doing other things, and really wanting to expand the brand overall. So Wally, if I can kind of just jump to you for a second to call somebody out here on the spot, what do you think it is that, you know, RSOP might not have this entire mass appeal, but the people that do get into it are extremely passionate?
I think it being conveyed over, and we those who have been involved have seen it. Right, there is this metaverse and in real life connection. The RSOP cards are the Genesis membership, but they're with HO1 and the other things that RSOP is going to benefit from. Others are going to be able to get in and be part of that universe, but the main entree, the platinum level membership is that one card. You have one, you have 10, you have 300. That's in there. So, and those who have one card are treated the same and welcomed just as much as those that have 300. And so I think as is that longevity. Mostly everyone that has those cards that are sticking around now are there because you get that feeling that it's because we're going to be here 5, 10, 15 years. Can't wait for all those New York trips, and you know, Bored Apes are going to have their club in Miami, and who knows where we're going to have ours in Dubai or whatever in the future. But it truly looks to be that way, and so I think that's what's that stickiness, and is I almost hesitate to say that it's a lost, or not lost, but a project that is unknown yet. The fact that just PFPs are the thing that's out there kind of puts this on the back burner. But even you look at a BAC, Bored Ape Yacht Club, they're doing the same. They're doing now what RSOP has been doing, which is went and bought punks, right? They're going to build a whole bunch of stuff. That wasn't their start. It clearly wasn't their start, but they just got the momentum and built it. The group, the team behind this, and then the people that have been in the part of the 10,000, that's been the layout for us in the beginning. And so that just makes me so bullish on, you see something like BAYC catch a lightning in a bottle and run. This has got that foundation that is going to go and just blow that, it will get there, maybe not as fast, but it certainly looks like it's going to get there.
While you're there, it's worth calling out the teams, worth calling out ZK and CJ and Mr. Pink. And like, there are some really, really inspiring and very cool people that are in the Discord doing work every day. You know, JVN was talking about how, you know, I was the same way. You know, you got to have your hand held a little bit when you're getting into the NFT space and you're trying to figure out the software and this and that. They've built this like badass onboarding kit. It's literally just like, you know, a deck that you can send to a total newbie, and they will just like immediately like have it all spelled out. And it's very well done. And it's just like the people that are doing work here are very good at their jobs.
I mean, that seems like the undertone to it. And Towering, we'll jump to you here for this next one. We're seeing kind of a weird way of the NFT space kind of shaking up in a way where we have things like Bored Apes that are, you know, doing everything under the sun. You know, they have, you know, their kind of companion drops, and then they're saying, hey, we're building out like this metaverse and all these kind of crazy aspirations. And then you see things for the team here at like RSOP where they're wanting to build out kind of other entities at the same time. And for Look Labs, I was able to host one of their Twitter space earlier, and they're saying, hey, we're doing, you know, an entire blockchain. We're also having like several games that we're going to be produced with it. And I think there's a fine line right now where people are saying, oh, there's way too much ambition for some teams, where other ones are like, nope, let them go. They've figured it out. They know how to do it. They can keep doing it repeatedly over and over again. So I'm curious, and this isn't maybe necessarily just about RSOP, but what's your thoughts on the entire space with teams having these big aspirations? Do you think it's better to start small, or, you know, is having these grander visions a better thing?
I think you got to go with who you are and, you know, have that North Star, you know, and I think as long as you have that vision, you know, and you work towards it, you know, don't let perfection get in the way of progress. You know, if something takes a week, if something takes a month, if something takes 5 years, if you're still moving forward with cool people doing cool stuff, like that's awesome. Like, it's a part of the journey. And that's the part that you're going to remember. those are the trials and tribulations, or, you know, whatever that story is. That's the stuff that's what you hold on to. That's what you're going to tell stories to your kids. That's where you're going to want to bring your kids in with, hey, this is so-and-so who I did this with way back when times were tough. You know, like those are awesome stories, and those bring people together. And I think in the space, especially with the situation where you have so much hype, right? Like, so there's a level that if you want to gain traction, you have to have some type of hype. Not have to, but in most cases, you feel like you have to. And I think there's a difference when you have someone like ZK and the team he's put together and Landmark behind him. When you know you're confident, you don't have to be the person who sticks your chest out all the time. You don't have to have the ego, and you don't have to overpromise. You know what you're about to deliver. And I think that piece of it is so different when you have a veteran team who's executed, as opposed to a team that has aspirations. And so I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. You just have to do you. And I think if you do you the best you can, surround yourself with the best people with positive intentions, like, amazing things are going to happen. This is such a nascent industry that we don't know where it's going to go. But if you surround yourself with people where, you know, like, worst case scenario, all this collapses, and then now you have this whole group of people that still want to work together, like, it doesn't matter, because it's always about the people. And a lot of times you see a situation where everyone talks about community, and they may or may not have a community. They may or may not believe what they're saying, right? You don't know that's the influencer part. It's hard for me to trust anyone. But when you put yourself in a situation, you know, a little bit of vulnerability at the right times, I think amazing things can happen. And that, to me, is one of the main reasons that I love this spot. And all of us, as we were speaking a little bit of earlier, like, all of us are part of different communities. And another community I love the Gutter Cat Gang. Now, hate them or like them, that's fine. But Cool Cats is another group. Hate them or like them, that's fine too, right? Like, everyone can have their space, but for some reason, I have a feeling where it's like, if I like the Gutter Cats, then I don't like the Cool Cats. Well, I'm a Dodgers fan, in the same situation as someone will say that I can't like the Giants. Well, guess what? When I was a kid, that was the first baseball team I was on. So I'm always going to like the Giants. I'm always going to like Will Clark. The Dodgers are my team, right? Like, you do you, let everyone else do them, and we'll let the chips fall where they fall. And it's a difference of knowing, you know, who you are. And I think that some others have spoke to it. I think everyone's welcome in RSOP. It happens to be that it seems like there's a level of maturity that has, you know, like finds like kind of thing. So I think that's a piece of it. And I think, you know, surround yourself with cool people doing cool stuff, and the sky's the limit kind of thing.
Does anybody else want to jump in here with their thoughts on it?
I mean, I feel like I've been talking a lot, but, like, one other thing is, if you look at that spinning chip behind Wally there was a journey that was with those chips, which was that there was a promise early on when they put the chips up, and they said, "Yo, these chips are going to have utility. You're going to be able to use them. Oh, and they're going to spin, and it's going to be cool." And everyone was like, "Sweet. When do the chips spin?" And they were like, "Soon." And then the chips didn't spin. And then they were like, "Our guys didn't deliver in a way that we liked, so we had to move on to another group. But they're going to spin." And everyone had to be patient while the team behind the scenes kept the level way the hell up high, and did not compromise, and did not release something out into the community that they were not happy with. And then when those chips started spinning, it was fucking real. It was cool, man. And I didn't buy a chip until they started spinning. And then I saw them and I was like, I gotta get one. But it speaks to the headspace and the mentality of what's going on behind the scenes over there. The fact that they're not going to compromise, they're going to take their time, they're going to get it right. And then they will deliver. And when they do deliver, it's going to be worth the wait.
Yeah, I'll jump in right behind you. I was just going to say, I completely agree with everyone's saying about the team. Without the strong team being successful in the real world, making a 20-year commitment, and then just something simple as, well, as complicated. I think they need to do a whole story on how they made this chip spin and who did the animation. I don't know if I can share that here, but that might be released. I don't know if there was just some alpha we have, but it's pretty cool even who made it, who they hired to get it done as a story on its own, which we probably could do a show about. But they have delivered everything they said, where I've seen other projects say this is going to happen, and they close shop. They're not even around. But they were adamant for us. Think about it. We're talking about PFPs and it making it spin. People could have walked away from that. So if they're going to make a chip spin, everything else they're laying out, I'm believing in for the long term. Wonderful team. Also, Discord. Y'all have been there where you go write a question, Discord, someone will write you back in 5 hours. We have CJ, other people almost instantly write you back at any time of the day. I thought she was a robot because she's always there. But that's the kind of community we have. I go ask questions other places. You got to wait for days. So hats off to the team that runs at ZK and everyone he's hired.
Now, Joker, I didn't know if you had an extra. Yeah, okay, cool.
Sorry, man. No, I was just going to say one thing because people brought up the spinning chips. And look, I mean, I think I know we're all really, really bullish. And I think something that I've learned about this space is literally, you know, things move in seconds. I think we're on bear market 14 since I joined this space, right? You know, it's a very, very emotional retail space, right? You can feel it. And it's amazing how quick it is. People are like, oh, you know, then suddenly some event happens, markets move up, and everybody's like, you know, LFG, you know, and then it goes down again. So, but what's interesting about the project, and it's the best example, right? And I think it will be something people think about is a lot of people definitely like, oh, they can't get the chips to spin. And you sit there and people are like, oh, I'm going to move on to the next project. And you sit there and you think, what does that mean? You know, they haven't got some chips spinning. You're going to move on to the next project. I mean, we're just, you know, it's been a couple of months, right? Whatever. But the bit that I'm not sure if everybody's aware of, I know a few people are, which to me, I just see this whole space about two things, the team and the quality of the community, right? For me, community's there. And the team, whether they did it in 1 month or not, interesting about the chips is the first couple of teams they had a problem with, right? So I think people know this, right? So first couple of teams, but they made a commitment, and I know that the funding, they then finally found a tech group that could do it. I think ZK paid for it all himself.
Yeah, he did.
Right? He decided that the funding out of the NFT, they'd spent the money. Now he owed it back to the community to give what he said. Right. So when you think about the integrity of an underlying individual where so many people are doing this to just get money out of the system, right? Maybe delivering some great experiences. You've got somebody saying, this took longer than I promised. And in the grand scheme of things, it's still not really that long, right? He funded it himself, right? As a way to say, you know, this is not on you guys, but I want to give it back to you. So I'm not sure how many people know that, but for me, it's the smallest example of the kind of backing that we have, which is, you know, they want to give to us the things they said they did, and they'll bear the responsibility of that, which is again, it's very, very different to kind of some of the, you know, hyped up, you know, screaming groups who are taking money out of the system. And when the money runs out, maybe they're not delivering much because they can't, etc. This is very different. You know, whether or not, you know, the card sales are 20 a day, 0 a day, they're still building, right? There's still new stuff coming. I mean, you mentioned House of First. You know, that's an entire metaverse art gallery built by the same team at the same time. You know, all delivered through benefits to us. It's a whole new thing. It's bringing in different communities, but it's all being constantly built, delivered, new people, new communities, new connectivity. It's constant. It's absolutely constant. And that's a franchise you can easily bet on. You know, so for me, as I said, the spinning chips has so many angles to it, but the fact that they put the money in there themselves to deliver it, it says everything for me.
Yeah, I'll just add, I love it's infinite expansion. Everything else out there is a 10, 20K mint. Then you've got to bring in companions, this, that, the other. With the creation of HO1 out there, hey, we're going to bring on more and or build more as it makes sense. And each of those touches the ecosystem. Ultimately, at the end of the day, coming back to RSOP, which is what I just think is phenomenal. So there is no limit. They've created it limitless. And whichever way you want to enter as a new NFT person, Remarkable Women for HO1s, so many people who never heard of NFTs before came into that. Next thing you know, they're buying cards, and they're jumping into that community and contributing to both. So again, I think that's been a track that's been well laid, and that infinite possibilities that don't exist out there for many other projects, that make sure it all comes back to the Genesis Foundation.
Something I want to jump in on the House of First. So someone like myself, I'm not the best art connoisseur. You know, it's something I need to work on. It's something I try to work on. And I think when you have House of First curating bringing new artists into the space, right, and showing a diverse set of artists, that's going to help everyone, not just the artist, right, but also collectors like myself who are interested, who have a curiosity, but don't necessarily know where to start. So when I have House of First curating, doing all that hard work, right, that I don't know how to do. Like, how many years would it take me to really understand, you know, the back end of the art? House of First is going to be amazing. And so just to me, that's a kudos to them. And that helps me build an art collection that I would never be able to build. And I think anyone stepping into the space can feel confident that they're going to have a well-curated experience and a diverse set of collectors. And it's Genesis collection. So we're talking about a 20-year situation. If you have every 6 weeks or 8 weeks rolling out a new artist and you just slowly collect that, you're going to have an awesome collection to look back for, you know, a decade or 2 decades, you know, looking back.
Now, I want to jump into something here. And TSPG, we're going to start with you because you've been like, yo,
this is what I said.
Billy Butcher NFTs coming through. We got to get on here. And I mean, it also gives you guys a little bit of that kind of identity like a lot of other people. So TSPG, what in the world is this Metaverse Players and how do you get it if you're not in it?
Yeah, you know, I've obviously spoken to you on the side about it. This is a collection that is been created by Butcher Billy. He's out of Brazil, and House of First is going to be launching it in partnership with, you know, RSOP. You know, RSOP is and House of First are basically sisters, right? RSOP came first, and then House of First came second. And now this is the third drop of their collection. And for people who want to get, you know, Metaverse Players, if you hold 5 RSOP cards, you'll be able to mint one for free plus gas. And then also, if you own one of each on the House of First side, you'll also be able to mint one early, and I believe you get a discount if I'm correct on that. Somebody can correct me if I'm not right on that. And right now, you know, within our community overall, you know, people are pretty pumped about it. I love that style of art. You know, it reminds me of the comic book days, and I mean, it is that style of art, and I think it does a really good representation of kind of what we've been looking for as far as a PFP for our community. Look, we all love the cards. There's no doubt about that. You know, like the cards are phenomenal. But, you know, as far as a PFP, you know, it doesn't have quite the, you know, the pop that you would want maybe if you're out there showing, you know, your identity on social media or other Discords and stuff. So I'm stoked about it. I think everybody else is as well here. I mean, I'm interested in hearing what others have to say with regards to MVP.
Guys, come on. We got to big this up. Is this going to rocket ship or what are we thinking? Is there anybody that doesn't like the vibe of it, by the way? Or are we all just madly in love?
I think they're cool, but my Jack of Spades is going to be very hard to displace. So we'll see what I end up minting.
There you go. Look at Joker's shirt. He's all excited.
Yeah. The pictures you posted today were awesome.
There's a golden Joker. There's a golden Joker, and everybody's vying for it. It'll be interesting to see TSPG get it.
Yeah.
What I'd say, I mean, to be honest, I mean, and I was on. They've hired an Asia-focused person in the group because there's, you know, the community's global. There's been a few people in Asia, and they're doing a regular spaces now around House of First RSOP, and they were talking about MVP, and I was asked to speak this week. And somebody was asking me, I guess, how does RSOP, how does House of First all fit together? And I tie this into MVPs because I was sitting there thinking, you know, my best analogy is like you've got a university, right? So the university, everybody wears that shirt, but then everybody has their subgroups because that subgroup appeals to them and attracts new different people, but they're all part of the same university. And this is where we're at. I mean, if I look at RSP and House of First as one whole big campus, then you want everybody to be a part of that. But then, you know, I know some people don't like Remarkable Women. Some people think the everyone's are for kids, but then that's perfect, right? You can meet everybody's needs. You can have interesting groups that people get behind, all as part of one parent community. And that's a source of diversity. That's a source of creativity. And you're getting these different types of people to meet that you just don't connect to, right? Which is, this space was all over for me. Is I've been at dinners with crypto guys, Ja Rule, the head of marketing at MasterCard, and a couple of other people that you just wouldn't stop in the street and suddenly get all these people together, right? It's the connectivity there. So for me, each group brings in a new set, and also if we think about what House First is doing at the moment, it's bringing in real world artists who don't have the generative background, who don't have the tech, but they actually have a following, right? And why I think MVPs is just amazing is, one, it's going to be the PFP for RSOP, right? So yeah, you'll get one for $5, but I think pretty much everybody's going to get one, right? So you start to think about the economics of this. Secondly, the cartoon image, the Marvel-y style, but that gaming feel, it has got so much appeal. I mean, Butcher Billy's been around for a long time, right? And I hate, I don't want to say sad things, but 20 years from now, this is going to be the PFP he launched, right? And you get to own one, right? And it's not going to be that expensive, whatever the price is, right? So, to have a piece of an artwork from now and thinking forward to 20 years from time, these are really, really, really cool, right? It's not like the 15 derivatives of something else. These are different. This for me is how can you not get behind that and just see how much value that's going to have at some point in time. And for me, it's in speaking to new people, advertising, it's generating a lot of interest. Let's be honest. You look at the cards, unless you're into it, and that has been the thing. As somebody sitting there, I'm going to wear a PFP, but I saw it first for Remarkable Women. All these people I was speaking to in Hong Kong about NFTs, I don't know, but Remarkable Women came out, and then we had like 30 of these women sign up in Hong Kong, mostly, definitely appealing, men as well, but really got behind it, what it stands for. There is like a 20-strong group of women from amazing backgrounds that have all got into our franchise, and they're connecting back into RSOP, and their backgrounds are crazy. And they're building this really strong community. Now on the MVP side, I'm seeing the same thing happening. Right, we've got a guy who's runs a big retail company, big OEM manufacturer. He's maybe going to be running a billboard giveaway in his stores where people in Hong Kong are going to go and take a photo in front of the MVP board, tweet it, join it, free giveaway. And why? You know what? He loves Marvel art type stuff. To him, it resonates with him. So there's just so many cool aspects that's going on right now that is super exciting. Right. And the fact that the previous Remarkable Women, I think each section sold out in a few minutes. Right. Some people were pissed. Right. And I don't know if everybody remembers, House of First refunded all their gas. Yeah. Right. That's not a regular occurrence. Right. So everybody that lost gas on the mint got that refunded. But a lot of those people are sitting there going, I have to get in the next one. So you've got the people who failed last time. You've got RSOP. You've got a whole new community that's interested in this artwork. You've got your regular NFT traders. There's a lot of people very, very interested, right? So it's hard to not see this do very well.
One other aspect we haven't mentioned about House of First,
but as Joker just said,
is that once you, I'm sorry, I'll go ahead and finish that then. But one thing we didn't talk about, I love about House of First, you own the intellectual property for everything that's ever released. So if you want to have your own Butcher Billy, whatever business, and you use his artwork, you have the rights to it. If you want to use your everyone, someone starting a coffee company, they already have a world-renowned artist who've made it. So that's what I love about this kind of art. Tyron Gates was talking about it. Joker was talking about it. 20 years from now, I believe this guy is going to be the Andy Warhol of the NFT space. looking back, picking these things up, and then we have the rights to print it, use it, or open a business with it. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say what Joker was just talking about ZK. I mean, this speaks to, he did the chips, he self-funded that. And then this part here where they paid back the gas, that's the type of team we're dealing with. Like, I know people harped on it, but, I got to say that. It's just, it's amazing the depth that they have with so few hands on deck. And they're adding more now as we get out and expand. It's just amazing that we have that type of person in this type of space where there are so many rugs globally. And taking that one step further, with Joker over there in the Middle East, it seems to be expanding to an international platform and just adding so much more to this. So I think there's so much runway to have going forward.
And I want to touch on one thing here, because it hasn't really been mentioned too, is, Landmark Ventures, who started up RSOP and House of First. One of their fortes too is putting on IRL events, right? And amazing events at that. Like, really, that is their specialty when it comes to making sure that their customers are, taken care of. And, I don't know how many of us here have been to RSOP events, but those that have not, if you hold a card within the community, you can apply for a grant and you can do an RL event, and RSOP will cover that. And I don't know what it is for other communities out there, but that to me is an amazing perk and benefit. And then if you have the chance to go to any of the events that are hosted by RSOP, definitely in New York, because that's where they're based out of. The one that I went to for NFT NYC was, a rooftop bar hosted. We hosted it with Metaverse HQ and Gutter Cats, I believe. And it was phenomenal. And, the networking that was happening there was well worth, just coming to New York in general. The networking there was amazing. So it's just something I want to bring up because it's another part of, the value proposition that is the Royal Society of Players.
I love
while
it.
You're there, there's one other thing, which is obviously the poker tournaments. As a poker guy, like, we didn't even talk about the poker tournaments, but the fact that we get free rolled into tournaments that have 1/8 prize pools on the regular, that, you win, you even place in one of those and you've paid for several cards. Just as a poker player, like, that's just no brainer.
Yeah. And we sent somebody to the World Series of Poker, last year. I mean, who's doing that? Yeah. Amazing.
No, I love it. Okay, guys, listen, we've been going for like an hour here, so I think we're going to wrap it up here in a minute, but I want to kind of go through everybody one more time and just want to open the floor to you. Is there anything you'd like to say to your fellow Royal Society of Player community that's watching, the founders, and then finally, what's a takeaway that you've had in your NFT experience this far? It doesn't necessarily have to be regarding Royal Society of Player, but just something you think would be worthwhile for somebody tuning in to know, and Wally will kick things off with you.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, just a huge thanks to everyone here, Schiller, you hosting this, this crew for being together, and I mean the community just in general. Thank you for helping me. I've grown so much from since I did that mint, and it's all from. I love to give that back, but I know I've gotten a lot more than I've given. So it's gonna take a while to catch that up. And then to Zeev and the team there, I mean, they're just amazing. So can't say any more better than what the folks have said here. For the space, right? My biggest thing is I love the concept of the Web 3.0. Like, no one's going here saying, let's go talk about Walmart, right? I'm an employee of Walmart, or I own 4 shares of Walmart. Let's get on but we're doing this. And so like this is like, to me, like why I got involved. I did it personally as I was hoping, to bring it into my professional career at some point. But the Web 3.0, the decentralization, democratization, I think is clearly going to be a big thing going forward, not just for this community, but I think we're going to see it in even the Fortune 500 companies and stuff that we deal with. So we're here, we're super early, and just embrace it. And I think all of us here that are early are going to reap all those rewards, whether it's RSOP, another community, or anything else that you do. So my 2 cents there.
And Towering, how about yourself?
You're
I
muted.
think you're muted, boss.
Everyone here is amazing. Appreciate all of you. To have something that you believe is going to last, I think in itself is special. And how many times do you go across something and someone's in a project and they're just waiting to hit the button to sell, and that's the goal, and that's fine. 100% that's fine. But to know that there's a home base where you have comfort, you have consistency, you can be yourself, and then still be a part of any other community you want. That's special, and that doesn't exist with a lot of communities. So I love that. And then just anyone who, especially if anyone's watching this that maybe is involved in crypto or maybe is curious, is to keep that curiosity and never allow that to stop. And I think it blows my mind to see people that maybe, like a Bitcoin maxi, and then at some point they're like, well, Ethereum does have some value. There's always improvements. And it blows my mind to have, 56, 60 million people on Coinbase, yet we have maybe a million wallets, on the NFT side. And there's so much happiness. There's so much just awesomeness that's here. And just don't let the bad actors, destroy that for you, because you can find something, whether it's RSOP, whether it's somewhere else. Just find the vibe and just be yourself, and everything else will solve itself, and just stay curious. And I'm just happy to be here with everyone here.
Yeah.
TSPG.
Yeah, obviously the sentiment is pretty consistent here with the group of people here, and there's other members of RSOP that didn't come on here, but would say a lot of the same things. First and foremost, for me, it really has been about the community. I can't speak highly enough of it, and I think that's really why it is my home base. I've looked around, and there are things out there of interest to me, but when it comes right down to it, this is a group of people, who I've made the effort to spend time. They've done the same thing, and you're hearing that, right? You're hearing that through the conversation this afternoon, and yeah, I mean, if you're new coming into the NFT space, look, find your vibe, right? Find the vibe of the people that you're looking for. But again, you do have to be vulnerable, and it's okay to be vulnerable out there, but use caution, right? There's enough people out there that if you pay attention, they will properly guide you. And do what I did, right? Like pop on a call with somebody, show your face, right? Be vulnerable. I mean, I think of our conversation, Towering, it took a minute, to break the ice on that. And I just kept saying, look at my conversations out there. You can ask all the people that you want that have had conversations with me. Be you, be real, and good things will happen to you. And yeah, I think that's the best thing I can say about the NFT space. So thank you for hosting. We really appreciate the team, and we appreciate you, Stephen.
No, 100%. So JVN, he's pulling out an earplug. Hopefully you can hear me, boss.
Yeah.
You got any kind of sentiment here for the community that might be tuning in, for the founders, and then just again, of course, any things you want to just share about your NFT journey that you think is worthwhile?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think everybody here touched on it a little bit. And before my community, it's about looping things together. We went from, cryptocurrency, then we went to ICOs, but ICO, there was no utility. We found NFTs. They had the utility. Orion spoke to that, and that gives you that in real life experience. And to have a team like Landmark Ventures back there, and just, I didn't know them. I still haven't met Zeev to this day, but and CJ Starr, I mean, she's been amazing help to me. And, Jantivirus, all these people that aren't on this call, you're doing an amazing job. Keep doing what you're doing. And if I can help, let me help. And, thanks to Joker for bringing me in, because it was really me trying to figure out my next step within the digital society. And I just want to cut it off there. Thanks, guys.
Of course. All right, Joker, how about yourself?
I guess last thing I was saying, I mean, it's a similar theme, right? I mean, I've owned a lot of stocks for a lot of time. Some stocks for years. I've never been on a call with all the shareholders vibing, right? I've never sat there where we've all chatted together and with the CEO going, hey, you should do this. We think this, or chat shit with people, right? This for me is an entire new fabric that is being created in the way business is going to be done, in the way people can come together, right? How many people sit in a job today? And I've found this with people, and this is why I see there's demand for the right way to be together, right? Web3 is a movement, right, where people get valued for what they can do, not where they come from or what they look like, right? You're in a company today, your job is X. And then you go, oh, I've got a great idea for this. There's not many companies that listen to you. It's like, no, that's your job, right? Because that's your background. That's what you study. That's who you are. That's what I associate with you. I expect you to do that job. Here, you sit in these communities in RSOP, somebody asks a question about anything. Anybody can answer that. And it's valued based on your response. It's valued based on your participation. That's a fabric, right? That's a new way things are going to happen. When you bring together people from diverse backgrounds, and I've seen it in teams I've built, you get creativity, you get solutions, you move things forward. So for me, the NFT space is a massive movement that is bringing people from around the world, from different backgrounds, different things, so much less judgment, right? Half of it, because you don't know who these people are. And things are going to be built from that. I mean, this is the seeds and the foundations for entirely new things. I don't know what they are. I just know we have the right people in rooms. So people need to find that community, right? And it doesn't have to be here, right? Look, we all love RSOP fine because we are all similar ages, similar backgrounds, similar things. And that's good for us. Other people in other communities. This for me is so powerful and such a 20-year bet. Everybody says it every day, we're early, but we really are in that context. Everybody's finding their feet. So you need to be a part of something with great people you can work with, people you can learn from, and a team that is going to keep building over that horizon. So for me, RSOP, House of First, this is it for me. Lots of other stuff I'm into. This is a great base to be part of. And as I said, I just need to be part of this movement to understand it and prep my son for this. And I think I've spoken too much. Yeah, I'm super bullish.
Orion, let's hear it, boss.
Wow, people saying so much. I always try to find the positive in as much as I can. I probably wouldn't be here without COVID. COVID shut the world down, shut us down. Me and my wife had it early on. And it kind of made you dive into finding communities and ways to explore things. And I put my head down and was in the NFT space, man, for hours. So I appreciate all these guys here. I've shared this with them before. I came in as a student to learn from some great people. And then it would blow me away why someone would spend so much money on a Joker or a chip or an Eternal. I said, hey, I need to learn what they're doing. So it wasn't just about acquiring the card, but acquiring the information that these guys have on why or how can you generate wealth this way. So that's been, on my end, that's benefited me a whole lot. Also, ZK and the team, hey, if we DM him, he writes you right back. He'll get to you. Like they're saying before, when can you sit down with an owner of a company or someone who's launched a project to get their thoughts behind why this is happening or how this is going to go? And they respond back. You think you're bothering them. No, they enjoy the conversation. So once again, hats off to them. Anyone entering into the space or want to grow in the space, my best advice to them, no one knows it first. Ask the questions you can't ask your friends. That's what I started doing here. I try to have these conversations with my friends at work or at lunch. No one knew what I was talking about when I talk about an ape, a cat, a kitty. Like, what the heck are you talking about? Only here I can find. So for an NFT project to work, is what I discovered with crypto, you have to have a great founder. You have to have a great asset, which they've created. And you have to have some people you can talk to about it. And so that's what it's done for me. So I enjoy learning from these guys and now help teaching other people get onboarded. And like we talked about earlier, if you own one card, we value just as much if you own 300 cards. So that's what I like about this space.
Three Neck, listen, you got 3 runners on. You're ready for the Grand Slam. Let's hear it.
Yeah, that had to be me at the end, didn't it? I mean, I guess I I thought I was buying a JPEG, right? I didn't realize I was buying into a community, and I'm very lucky that that's kind of I did. I just lucked out that this was the very first NFT that I ever bought as I was trying to learn the space. And my approach to dealing with all of that has been to just fire a lot of darts in a lot of different places and just kind of buy art that looks interesting to me. And RSOP has been the only one where I've bought more than one. And it's been more than the art. It's been about the rest of the people here too. That's really what it's been about. And I will say also, it feels, this call feels a little homogenous, right? We all kind of feel like we're coming from the same place, but make no mistake. When we get in the Discord and we start chatting, philosophy or whatever, we're challenging each other. we are a diverse set of backgrounds, and Orion is absolutely correct. And for the longest time, I only had one card, and I was always treated as part of the group. I was treated as more than part of the group. I mean, I was in the club, and I'm in the club, right? And that's always been the case, and it's been very cool.
Well, there you have it. Listen, I hope you enjoy hearing from the Royal Society of Player community, this time instead of the founders. And again, if you want to go check back, we have an interview with the founders themselves. And if you're watching right now thinking, wow, listen, I'd love to be on there, maybe my community can hop on, leave a comment down in the comment section about where we should go to next. But guys, here on the stage right now, I appreciate you so much for coming on, and thanks so much for sharing all the insights on Royal Society of Players.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.